We've got some new information tonight on the fatal beating of a disabled man last October in the district.
Reggie Brown was out for a late-night walk in Northwest. As he walked along Georgia Avenue, police say a group of teenage girls attacked him. 5 were charged in the case. 2 have pled guilty.
Today, during the trial for 2 of the girls, testimony revealed a stunning and disturbing reason for the beating. News 4's Paul Wagner was there in the courtroom and has the story.
Good evening. One of the 5 girls accused of taking part in the fatal beating of Reggie Brown and has already pled guilty in this case, took the stand and testified for the prosecution. When she was asked what they were doing that night, she replied that they were out looking to beat someone up. And when the prosecutor asked why, she replied, "We were bored." The first girl to plead guilty in the case took the stand today in juvenile court and revealed what took place in the moments leading up to the beating. The girl, now 15 and testifying under a grant of immunity, said as the 5 walked up Georgia Avenue, they saw a man only identified as Blue Coat beating Reggie Brown. The 15-year-old said Mr. Brown was on the ground. He was being attacked. By who? Said the prosecutor. A man. He was wearing a blue coat. He pushed Mr. Brown to the ground. He then walked up to us, and I asked him why he was beating him up. What did he say? I don't remember what he said. I asked if we could help. He said yes. Blue Coat has never been identified. The 15-year-old, contrary to prior testimony in the case, told the court Blue Coat never threatened them if they refused to take part in the beating. The prosecutor said, what happened next? We started hitting him. His pants got pulled off. I kicked him. Was Mr. Brown saying anything? He said, stop. Did he say anything else? He stopped talking. I stepped back because I noticed something was wrong. As the prosecutor played the video of the beating, one of the girls recorded on her cell phone that night, 2 of Brown's sisters walked out of the courtroom. The video shows the girls stomping on Brown's head. He appears to be unconscious and bleeding. We spoke with 2 of Brown's sisters outside the courthouse. You sat in there and watched that video. I mean, that was really hard.
I listened. I watched some and I listened. From what I heard, they know that boy. They all rejoiced together. A stranger don't rejoice with you like that. They rejoice as friends.
The 15-year-old testified today she does not know who Blue Coat is. During a morning motions hearing, the judge revealed a second girl has pleaded guilty in the case, but it's unclear when that happened and what charge she pleaded guilty to. The trial resumes tomorrow. At D.C. Superior Court, Paul Wagner, News 4.
The 15-year-old girl who pleaded guilty and testified for the prosecution today was sentenced.
Okay, I cut that a little bit early. She was sentenced to 3 years for participating in that crime. All right, folks. So here we have a disgusting state of affairs. All right. You have young people on the streets looking for something to do, going around saying, I'm bored, right? So let's go look for something demonic. There's an expression that I swear to you gets more and more true as I get older, and that is idle hands are the place of the devil. Why at 15 years old are you not doing homework, after school activities, studying to get ahead? Because in all likelihood, we know you're not in any accelerated classes or anything of that nature. Volleyball, football, lacrosse, basketball, cross-country running, skiing, cross-country skiing, walking, African-American book club, some kind of a book club. I mean, the list goes on and on of things they could have been getting into. And I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room on this one. Black folks and our kids. Here's the state of affairs in this in-game scenario that we're in. All throughout the world, systems are failing, cultures are collapsing, people are getting more and more desperate, Inflation is up. Families are falling. Things, the system of humanity that we've all enjoyed for some time, there's clearly an attack on it, and things are failing. However, in your case, the fall seems to be much more precipitous and seems to be much more accelerated. This sleeping around, hopping from man to man, woman to woman, having kids, and simply giving those kids to the school and saying, here, is not going to work. That model has never worked. People have been doing it now for at least the last couple of decades, and it seriously and truly needs to stop. The single moms, the baby mamas, the guys traveling from home to home with black trash bags. When one of your baby moms gets tired of you, you simply go to the other. Not to be a part of a family or raise your children with dignity, respect, and culture, but to simply have a place to lay your head, get a couple dollars for your next bottle, and whatever the case may be. I was 100% sure that these kids were black before I even saw that this lady was black. I was 100% sure. Now, granted, it's DC, and there's a whole lot of black folks in DC, but this kind of behavior is really sickening. Now, I want to veer away from that for a second and get into this whole Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, while obviously the man didn't deserve to have his head stomped in and literally be stomped to death, more than likely that scenario where they described he was pushed on the ground, uh, he probably was doing some sort of a drug deal. He owed somebody a couple of dollars from, he's some old school crackhead or whatever the case may be. They're spinning it saying that he was a handicapped man that was killed senselessly. And I'm sure he was. Maybe, whatever. He has some misfortunate realities or whatever. But for those of us who are in our older years, and you may like to get a little bit more inebriated than you possibly should, at one point are we going to reevaluate the situation? What do you think the end game is going to be when you're late 50s, early 60s, late 60s, still in the streets, still looking for your next hit, still looking for your next rock, looking crazy, all broken down, no money, no kind of upward mobility, nothing going for you? How long are we going to let that play out? I have people in my family like that right now. Some of you may have people in your family like that right now. Not to that extent where they're in the street, but down there. You know what I mean? Down there. Um, so that whole thing needs to stop, right? Like at the end of the day, folks just got to do better. And granted, there's no excuse for conduct like this. Rather you're part of a single parent household or not, this is just Satanism to the umpteenth degree. And then the fools make a video out of it, right? Like, no words, really and truly. So, lessons, I would say this: the baby mama stuff, the sleeping around, having kids, any and everywhere, recklessly, carelessly, inconsiderately, not fathering those children, not mothering those children, right? Being the primary parent. This woman might be like, "Oh, I'm working hard to take care of my kids and this and that, whatever," right? Like we all got a story, but this situation, this is not working out, and I think it's plain to see. We as a people, humanity, yeah, like I said, everybody's dealing with it. I just posted a story the other day. A teenager in Washington killed his whole family except two were left alive. Uh, and although that was a white kid, and white people tend to deal with issues just like black people do. But all in all, for all of us together, these aren't necessarily issues that are isolated to any particular community. Right now, the issue is mental illness, a lack of focus, drive, responsibility of any kind. This notion that I should be constantly entertained, I should be constantly fed, relaxed, comfortable, right? This notion that life is not supposed to be hard, everything's supposed to be handed to me is false. And I believe that's a lot of what's setting people up for quote unquote mental illness, which a lot of it is just mental weakness, right? Expecting everything to be easy, expecting everything to be handed to you, and it's not. You want to give up. You want to give up on thinking how you know you're supposed to, and you want to give up on acting like you know you're supposed to because you're not getting the gratification that you feel you want, need, or deserve when you want, need, or deserve it. And it doesn't work like that. It never has. Scarcely 100 years ago, right, in these very lands that we're all in, wherever you are, people were dying come winter from starvation. Childbirth. In many simple processes, people are still dying for childbirth now, but the numbers were much higher. And most of us are dealing with eating too much rather than not eating enough. And rather than using that as an opportunity to say, all right, we don't have to no longer worry about dying from hunger, so let me become smarter, let me work harder, let me concentrate my efforts on something that can really take us to the next level. Rather than do that, people want to devolve, not evolve, devolve, engaging in devolution rather than evolution. And, regardless of one's age, these are the choices that we all have to make and that we're all dealing with. And I'll tell you the truth, I can't call it. These kinds of things are occurring on a regular basis. I'm out here just like you, and anything could go wrong at any moment for any one of us. So, one thing that I look to do is stay aware, stay active, stay in the fight, rise early, sleep late, knocking my goals off, focusing my mind on what I need to do to advance me and mine, not some Hollywood celebrity drama or whatever's going on with Diddy and this and that, or whatever the case may be. Some of these stories are difficult to avoid because and I'm not a news watcher, right? But because so many people are, the news just comes, right? Like people are talking. Oh, did you hear about this? Do you know about that? No, no, I don't. I'm busy working on what I have to do to survive. And furthermore, not only surviving is not the goal. Thriving is the goal. Okay. However, surviving does require some effort, let alone thriving. Surviving might be 8, 9, 10, 12 hours of my day. If I'm going to thrive, that means I got to give it another 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. You know what I mean? And still got to sleep and do other things. So where's it going to come from? We don't have the time to sit around and chat about all of this, that, and the third. We, you, I have to be focused on what we need to do to stave off the collapse of civilization at this point. I'm telling you, this thing has grown to epic proportions. This thing with mental illness, this thing with poor decision making, lust, sexual perversions of all kinds, greed, gluttony. It's imbalanced. And I say, It's time for a renaissance